Second here. All right, 1 second here. All right, 1 second here. All right, 1 second here. All right, welcome everyone holding my Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers, as it is known. Again, welcome everyone holding my Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers. We're in chapter 2, Mishna 15. This is part 19, and there will probably be a part 20, part 21, part 22. We'll see where this all goes. Again, welcome everyone holding by Pirke Avos, ethics for our fathers. We are in chapter Mishnah 15, part 19, and try and finish up this part of the Mishnah. Again, we said that according to Rebbe Eliezer, I think it was Rebbe Eliezer, yeah, that says, let your fellow's honor be dearest to you as your own, and do not anger Do not anger easily, right? That is what we said. Do not anger easily. And that's what we've been speaking about, right? The last, the last few weeks, well, a number of weeks. And as I mentioned last week, that says, Moy Rebbe, Arav Agon, Ramosh should be well. And he says, it's commentary in Pirke Avos, right? He mentions like this. He says maybe the attribute of justice is going to obligate a person to be angry, right? Place fear in someone, like when someone makes a breach in Torah, right? They make I give better words, they make some sort of hole, right, in the Torah, meaning they want to do what they want. They don't really want to keep Torah mitzvahs, or they want to see how far possible it is to stretch Torah, right? That's what they want, right? Or at least some people want, right? To see how far we can stretch Torah. So he said, so we mentioned that there's a Torah obligation that in Book of Leviticus chapter 19, we'll get there one day, that over there it says there's an obligation. There's an obligation to rebuke. There's an obligation, right, to rebuke. It says amisecho, right, your people. Rebuke your people, that you should not bear the sin. Meaning you can't embarrass someone, even if you have to rebuke. Right? You're not allowed to embarrass them, not allowed to remind them of past things they've done, or whatever it is. We said, whole difference of opinion whether you use your portion of the world to come. Right? If it's literally considered like murder. Right? We said the difference of opinion, the Rambam, Rabbeinu Yonah, whether it's considered murder. Right? In other words, according to the Rambam and others, all right, it might be an offshoot of murder, but it's not really murder, right? We're not looking at it like murder per se. According to Rabbeinu Yonah, it's an offshoot of murder, right? It's an offshoot of murder here, because someone turns white, they turn red, they got embarrassed, right? Lose a portion of the world to come, right? Could be get the death penalty, right? The whole question here, right? Very hard to understand this opinion. According to others, it's an offshoot. Even murder, you don't necessarily get that penalty. Not according to everybody, right? So again, tell me an offshoot of murder, where it's not really murder itself, even though it feels like murder, right? Even though a person may feel, they've been totally slaughtered here, true, but in the real sense, it's not murder, right? Essentially, it's not murder. So this is a novelty, a huge novelty. Why that would be considered murder according to Rabbeinu Yonah. And then we mentioned that there's a mitzvah to rebuke our fellow Jews, no mitzvah to rebuke non-Jews to keep their mitzvahs, right? It's no mitzvah, right? We spoke about that. We spoke about that a number of times. Regardless, this is a pretty serious thing here, because people are going to say, how can I give rebuke? I can't give rebuke because they hate Judaism more. Or we don't know how to give rebuke, even better. People say we don't know how to give rebuke. So if we essentially don't know how to give rebuke, guess what? We don't know how to give rebuke, then you tell me we don't have an obligation. Right? Shouldn't be an obligation. Right? But that, as we said, is not so simple. Right? In other words, we're not going to say across the board, since we don't know how to rebuke in this generation, which is definitely true. Even if we don't know how to rebuke, very good. Does that give me permission not to rebuke ever? Even if they're not going to listen, so what? Right? Now we've spoken about in different contexts. But Rebbe here says, okay, even in such a case where you have to give rebuke, right? In other words, there's an attribute of justice over here. Why? You want to keep the Torah safe. You don't want to mess up, right? You do not want to mess up over here. You do not want breaches in Torah. You don't want people doing whatever they want, because when they do whatever they want, a disaster, right? An absolute disaster. That's what it's going to be. That's a pretty serious thing. That's the whole thing over here. What do we say over here? What do I have? What do I have? So we're saying that you got to place fear in them. For sure, you have to place fear, right, in them, because you don't want this breach, right? You don't want this breach. Or, what would I say? What would I say over here? You could say that even under these circumstances, you don't want it. You don't want someone to get angry, right, in an easy way. Right? You don't want someone to get angry easily. Now, this is going to be hard, right? This might not be, such an easy thing. Why? Because we're passionate. We're passionate for truth, right? We're 100% passionate for truth over here. So we don't want this breach. We're not interested. We're not interested in any breaches. We want the Torah to be the way it is. We don't want the Torah to change. Right? We're not interested the Torah should change. So what do I have? I got a problem here. I got an obvious problem. What's the problem? Problem is, you're going to tell me, person's going to have to be angry. Person's going to have to be angry, shows the attribute of justice. Place fear in somebody because of this breach. Right? This breach is going to be an issue. They don't want people making a breach in Torah. Because once you change the Torah, we know it's a disaster. And even if I would agree, which I don't, but even if I would agree, you're going to bring more people closer to Judaism, more people closer to Torah mitzvahs by changing things. Very good, right? Maybe we'll have a discussion. Right? Maybe we'll have a discussion. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a very long discussion. But maybe you tell me we'll have a discussion. Right? Why are we going to have a discussion? You tell me it's going to bring more people. It's doing outreach. Very good. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. You see by the Reform and Conservative movements, right? 60, 70, 80% into marriage. The disaster, right? An absolute disaster. Not everyone understands, right? It's kind of like, these movements are kind of like a mule, right? A mule, very strong animal. Anyone doesn't know, a mule is a hybrid between a horse and a donkey. What happens, right? What happens when you make a hybrid between a donkey, right, and a donkey and a horse? You get a mule. Very good. Mule, very strong. Extremely strong animal. Okay. Mule's a very strong animal. Very good. What's the problem with the mule? Sterile. Can't reproduce. So you see, even though God allows it, He allows this animal to be produced. He doesn't stop people from making a hybrid over here. But you see, according to nature, this hybrid is not going to stand. This hybrid, right? What do I mean it's not going to stand? Can't reproduce. Very strong animal. Everyone agrees the mule's a very strong animal, right? It's got one major flaw. Pretty crucial flaw. And that flaw is what? It can't reproduce. So these other movements, even if I would agree, which I don't, but even if I would agree, we'll have a discussion, change this, change that, make it easier for converts to come. Right? We'll open the floodgates. Very good. Does it work? Does making these changes work? And even if they would, what changes should we make? What should we throw out? Kashrus? Shabbos? Too many prayers? What should we throw out? Right? I've heard this argument. Someone said, I'm going to go conservative. It's too hard. People didn't welcome me. This, that, and all kinds of issues. Yeah, you need thick skin over here. You need a lot of thick skin to be able to convert. Right? But at the end of the day, this is what I asked the person. They said it's way too hard. We make it way too hard. Okay, so what should we change? What should we take out? Which things should we move? Because it's too hard. Everything's crucial here. Right? So says my Rebbe over here, even under these circumstances, we got to be strong. We got to be forceful. We got to make sure that you're not going to make any breaches. People aren't going to make breaches in Torah. A person should still not easily get angry. Right? What did the Mishna say? The Mishna said, do not anger easily. Oh, but I got an obligation to get angry over here. Right? Because I want to show beyond the shadow of a doubt what they're doing is wrong. We want to show that, okay. Very good. How do you not have a tinge of anger? Yeah. Right? How do you not get angry at all? Now, why would a person get angry? Why would a person get angry over here? So I would say very simple. A person's going to get angry because they're all fired up. Because this is what they live for. This is what Torah and mitzvahs are, and you're trampling on it. Right? Gave the example, you take someone to synagogue, someone is intermarried, tell them to open the ark and all that. They bring the Torah, say, what are you, crazy? Take out the Torah, there's no service going on, doesn't matter. Take out the Torah. Fine, we're going to take out the Torah, you put it on the bima, put it on the lectern, very good. It's okay, let's unroll it. Let's unravel it here. Okay, you take off the cover. Very good. So now I got one last thing for you to do. Right? Now we're going to pick up the Torah. Very good. Here, grab the Sefer Torah, grab the Torah scroll. Say, okay, what am I supposed to do with it? I said, now throw it on the ground. Now throw it on the ground. They're going to say you're off your rocker. Yeah, I am off my rocker. Yeah, but that's what you're doing. You're taking the Torah, right? Person's intermarried, whatever the case is. And you're taking the Torah and you're spitting on it. That's what you're doing. I would say even better. I won't get gross there. Take the Torah, throw it on the ground, and defecate on it. That's what you're doing. That's essentially what you're doing. And this happened to someone during the war. They had parts of a Torah scroll, a whole Torah scroll, and remember? Then they tell this Jew, the Nazis put a gun to the head and say, I want you to relieve yourself on this Torah scroll, we're going to kill you. Now, this wasn't a religious Jew. This person's eyewitness account, this was not a religious Jew here. But see, it's in the DNA of a Jew, even someone that far gone, even intermarried or who knows what, doing whatever transgressions. That's something they won't do. That's going too far. It's really flag, okay? I would say that's even, sacred today, where people say, oh, you spit on it, you want to see Jews doing that per se. Well, they're really self-hating Jews. But also, okay, I wouldn't say the Israeli flag has any, sanctity, not certainly not like a Torah scroll, not even close to what it represents. Okay, same thing people say by the American flag. People will kneel, let's say, in a sporting event. They won't stand. Okay, it's a crazy thing. I don't know if they want to get into it. Sefer Torah, much more holiness. Nothing to talk about. Much more holiness. But even a secular Jew would never do it. Right? It depends how far gone they are. But most secular Jews guarantee they would never do it. But this is what they're doing. They are spitting on the Torah. That's what they're doing. Right? So here what's going on? You have to give rebuke. You got to show anger. Even though the Rambam says even when you have to discipline a child, you have to show anger. But you want to make sure you don't really have anger. Not even a little bit. You got to fake it really well. And you should never punish. We spoke about this before. Never punish a child out of anger. Because the child won't get the message. Right? But at the same time, Rabbi here says, even if you have to do it, do not get angry easily. Right? Because what's the reality here? The reality is you see a breach in Torah. You see a breach in Torah mitzvah. So what does that do? That makes you want to vomit. Should make us want to vomit. Yeah. How can they make such a breach? Don't they know how holy it is? How can they trample on it? How can they trample on it? True. So we get all excited. We get our feathers ruffled. People say, live and let live. It's not an argument. Right? As I told someone, they didn't like my argument, but okay, we can agree to disagree. Come on. So I said, give me an argument. Give me something. Give me a bone. Throw me a bone. I was thanking the one. Throw me something. Right? This discussion about intermarriage. The person was intermarried. Then show me something. A medrash somewhere. I don't know. Some Talmudic source I probably don't know. And show me what it says. Show me where it says it's okay. Or it's Webster's fifth definition. It doesn't mean only meant for that generation. Or it only meant for the generation coming into Israel. Or whatever. When they destroyed all 7 nations. Okay, give me something. I'm open-minded to a point. Let's hear. Let's see. I'm not going down that path. Yeah, because I got you. I got you backed into a corner. You don't want to answer. Yeah, I get it. Makes perfect sense. But even so, Mary Beer says, don't get angry easily. Why? Why? Again, why not? You tell me the Mishnah said so. Yeah, but why? Well, we understand, but he's telling you because you don't want the inside of you just waiting to burst out. Because you'll see people that, make a tremendous break in Torah mitzvahs. Most of these people today, I would say, no question about it, it's all based on desire, not based on knowledge. 100%, it's not based on knowledge. Right? Totally not based on knowledge. So they do what they do without having a clue, without having any clue whatsoever. None. Right? They don't have any clue. So they say, we're going to try and be makar of them, draw them closer. Yeah, that's true. But the reality is, you see a secular Jew mowing their lawn on Shabbat. You can try, draw them closer. You're not going to hammer them. They're not going to listen, right, in general. Right? So try and draw them closer. Very good. But what should our reaction be? What should the reaction of Orthodox Jews be when they see a secular Jew mowing their lawn on Shabbat? The reaction is we should be on fire. Our heart should be broken. We should burst out and want to scream and yell. Obviously, it's not going to help. Right? That's not going to help bring them closer. But Rabbi says, even in such a case, where you want to put fear in someone, your insides are waiting to burst. Your insides are bursting out here. So he says that you got to be careful. Even if it's coming from the right place. Because the person's going to be strong. The person's going to be strong in Torah mitzvah. So being strong means, you might have to try and put fear in someone. But you don't want to do it out of anger. You don't from this, even though you're burning on fire, and it really annoys you. And you understand intellectually, they don't know anything. It's like they grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho. No offense, anyone's a potato farmer grew up in Idaho. Yeah, they don't know nothing. So our heart breaks. But not only it breaks, the reaction should be, we should scream out. We should scream out. This is what Mary says many times. Person sees desecration of Shabbat, you should scream out. I mean, it's not going to have the right reaction. When he says scream out, it means you got to feel the pain. You got to feel the pain of the Eibishter. You got to feel the pain of God. Because this is not what he wants. This is not what he wants from the Jewish people. He wants them to keep Torah mitzvahs. It pains him. Even if they don't know nothing. Even if they grow up as the proverbial potato farmer in Idaho. It's still painful. We also got to feel the pain. But see, imagine, we're flesh and blood. We're not creators of the universe. We're not keeping the world intact. We're not renewing creation every second. Otherwise, go back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, that original chaos, which everyone would agree is bad, right? Kind of like the back of that Led Zeppelin album. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that would be bad. It'd be beneficial. You wouldn't have to listen to me, right? But what's the bottom line here? What's the bottom line? Got to feel the pain. Again, if we were to play God, put on my funny George Burns glasses, my funny mustache, we're going to play God here, right? You look down at your creation. You got less than 10% or 10%, give or take, that are keeping your Torah mitzvahs at some level. You got the rest of them that don't know nothing from nothing. They don't know the alphabet. They've never heard Shema Yisrael, or if they did, they don't know what it means. Not even according to Kabbalistic tradition. They don't know nothing. And you look down, and Mr. S is just sitting there with a big grin, right? The Sultan, the evil inclination, whatever you want to call him. He's sitting there with a huge grin, right? He's got this big grin, and he's laughing, and he's smiling. He's like, yeah, look at your creation. Look what they do over here. Look what they know about your Torah. Look what they keep. You're not going to get God angry? If we were playing God, we'd say, wow, that's the way you repay me? You don't even make blessings. You don't even know nothing about Shabbos. You don't know nothing about Kashrut. You think it's all about trichinosis. Which someone once told me. Said, come on, if there's no problem with trichinosis, i.e., we don't heat up food, hot enough and get get a worm or whatever inside because we don't cook the food well enough. I said, wow, it's very interesting. What does trichinosis have to do with kashrus? I said, by the way, you're eating a bagel. You're not even eating meat. You're eating a bagel. So what does that have to do with trichinosis? They're like, yeah, whatever. Pass the salt. It's idiocy. I understand in theory where it came from, where this idea came from. Think. You're eating something's not meat. You don't need 120 IQ for this. You're eating something's not meat. You want to tell me the problem with trichinosis eating a bagel? Eating kosher potato chips. There might be worse chemicals than eating potato chips, even if they're kosher, than this problem with trichinosis, getting this tapeworm. You don't want to look at the ingredients of these things. You'll die just from looking at it. Because people think, oh, it's kosher. I'm eating this holy meat, this holy food. Yeah, it can be holy in different ways, but you consume it. It can kill you. Right? That means healthy. Definitely does not mean that. Plenty of things we eat. I just, earlier still polished off a couple donuts. I guarantee I'll feel that later. Yeah. Certainly all that oil. Could use it next year. Squeeze out the donuts. Use it next year for Hanukkah. Not a problem. It'll burn 8 days or more. Donuts are kosher. Higher standard. Very good. Healthy? Another issue. Totally another issue. I don't want to digress here. What's the point? What's the point? This thing makes you want to vomit. It makes you sick. This is what people are doing. Right? This is what they're doing. And they're doing it. They're doing it to themselves. No one is putting a gun to anyone's head. Sorry about that. No one's putting a gun to anyone's head, telling them, do this or die. Right? Nobody's doing that. We're doing it. We're doing it 100% ourselves. Which is 10 times worse. Right? 10 times worse. Now, we'll finish up this thought. The Marebbe here says, even under these circumstances, you don't want to get angry easily. But it burns inside of us. Why does it burn inside of us? You say, how could a person do this? They don't know, right? They don't know. They're throwing away everything for nothing, right? They're throwing away their Judaism as good old Uncle Esav did for a bag of lentils, a bowl of lentils. So my Rebbe there said, are we any different than Esav? We're willing to throw away our portion of the world to come for what? A little bit of fun, a little bit of action, a little bit of R&R, whatever you want to call it. We're willing to do that. Why? Because hey, it's a time of weakness, person was bored, whatever it may be. People willing to do that. They don't think they're doing that. Oh, I just need to chill. I just need to relax. I just, okay, maybe a person does when you're not obligated to learn. Okay. We make a lot of excuses. I don't even want to go down that path because I'll depress everybody. Yeah. So my Rebbe brings down Gemara and Shabbos. Gemara and Shabbos 105b. What do the rabbis tell us? That when someone breaks vessels out of anger, person's anger, what do? They rip things. They break things. They make holes in things. So he says that's akin to what? Idolatry. That's akin to idolatry. So this means even a person's full of fire, right? You don't want this anger to control you. That is going to hamper your ability to keep Torah mitzvahs and allow the heart to have control over the mind. This is a lot easier said than done. Because when a person's angry, even for the truth, and a person is zealous for the truth, when a person is zealous for the truth, what can happen? They lose all sense of reality. They think that, my Rebbe said here many times, you have people that protest against government, which he says is not a bad thing to do. If it's, a case of desecration of Shabbos, or bones, or excavations, or different things. But my Rebbe says clear. You want to protest? Big mitzvah to protest. Not everyone agrees with him, fine. Big mitzvah to protest, when it's needed. Okay? Does not give you the right to destroy property. That's a whole different thing. And people will destroy property. They'll light things on fire, right? They'll light bins or, garbage things on fire. They'll do other things. So if you want to tell me, and there's a difference of opinion whether there's law of the land in Israel or not, without even going into that, there's a whole difference of opinion whether we say there is law of the land or not. So let's say there's not. Let's say there's no din of law of the land. There's no law of the land here. Meaning, you do something not transgressing any Torah prohibition or any rabbinic prohibition. Right? Because there's no law of the land here. Right? Because it's not run by Torah scholars. Right? The land's not run by Torah scholars, so to speak. Right? It's run by the Evrah, by the mixed multitude. So maybe you tell me, in that case, I should be able to do what I want. I can cheat on my taxes. I can, do other things. Because, let's say, but even if that's true, even if we hold that position without going into detail, even if we hold that position, how does that look to the outside world? Even better, how does it look to secular Jews? Secular Jews are going to say, this is the craziest thing. You want to protest, right? You want to protest against desecration of Shabbos and, moving bones and other things? Okay, I can hear such a thing. They'll say, fine, you want to protest. What gives you rights to destroy property? To do other things? What gives you any right? That's a desecration of God's name. And again, even if you want to tell me, it's the law of the land, then I have a right to do this. And look what they do to, the Orthodox Jews and blah, blah, blah. It's true. Very, very true. Tremendous incitement against Orthodox Jews. Been that way a long time, very long time. We have a lot of power today, so it's not so easy. But regardless, a lot of incitement against Orthodox Jews. To the extent where a barrel wine should be once commented many years ago, more probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or 20 years ago more. And he said, if you would, you listen to the news here, which I don't recommend, but if you listen to the news and you hear what they say about Orthodox Jews, he says, just change the word Arab for Orthodox Jew and all these things. Change the word to Arab, there would be an uprising, nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. So we're going to be on our best behavior at all times. You're going to say people are evil, that you're right. I don't have anything to prove to them. But if I'm outside, now I'm in the store, or I'm on the roads, or whatever, you just do what you want. You don't have the right to say, I don't believe in the state, I can do this, I can do that. I'll give an example. Give a very relevant example. There are 2 days. Usually in May, that they blow a siren. It's the only time you want to hear a siren except for right before Shabbos. 40 minutes before Shabbos comes in. And what is the siren? It's like a moment of silence. It's a moment of silence. Usually on Remembrance Day, right? Fallen soldiers. And on Yom HaShoah, on Holocaust Memorial Day. 2 days that Israel has a siren for like 2 minutes. I think once at night, once during the day. Now, what do most people do? Secular Jews. If they're driving on the road, they stop. They get outside their car, like a bunch of idiots, and they bow their head, like, think about the memory of the 6 million. That's a Goyish custom, very Goyish. Right? I was growing up, back in the day, there was a moment of silence. That's what a moment of silence is. What are you thinking about? Yeah. So what are they thinking about? I'm thinking about the 6 million that died. I don't know. Think about the fallen soldiers. I don't know, maybe think something witty, whatever. Now, what does the press always do? They always go to ultra-Orthodox communities, and when the siren rings, they got their cameras going to see who stands, who sits. Isn't that a provocation? Wouldn't we call that a provocation? We would call it a provocation. They're looking for people not to do it so they can smear them. So they can say, see, even on the day the 6 million died, that day they commemorate the Holocaust. That day they commemorate the Holocaust. Right? Whatever that day is, what's going to be? They got their cameras going. They totally have their cameras going. So they're looking for people. They're looking for people to go against it. Right? That's what they're looking for. They are looking for people to go against it. And that they're not going to stand up. So when you talk about, the Holocaust, what's the day remembrance of all tragedies? Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the fast of the 9th of Av. Right? That's the day you should read Holocaust books. That's the day. That's the day national mourning. First temple was destroyed that day. Second temple was destroyed on that day. Jews thrown out of Spain, 1492. A lot of things. I think World War I, World War II, started on that day. A lot of bad things happened on Tisha B'Av. So remembering the Holocaust, that's a good day to do it. But now, what's going to be? You're in a place, public place, and the siren goes off. If the siren goes off in a public place, then the rule of thumb is you should also stand. Say Tehillim. Say Psalms. It's something you remember that you learn. Say it over in your minds, in their memory. But don't sit there like an idiot with your head bowed going, But that doesn't do anything. It's a goyish thing. We don't go in the ways of non-Jews. That's not the way you commemorate something. So they say, but this is what they do. Right? So the answer is, if a person's ever in that situation, you stand like everybody else. If you don't stand, no, they're not going to get the point. These secular Jews are going to say, what? You don't think 6 million is worth enough for you to stand? Show respect. You can argue with them and say, we don't go in the ways of non-Jews. That's not really showing respect. That's a goyish thing. That's a non-Jewish thing. What are you doing it for? You're not going to win that argument. All the more so if it's commemoration of fallen soldiers that have died fighting to protect this land. Because you don't even do the army, right? A lot of you people don't even do the army out to Orthodox Jews. Not going into this topic. Very, very volatile topic. Very emotional. But at the same time, I would say if anyone's in a public place, right? So you say Tehillim at that time. You stand and you say Tehillim. Or you remember something you learned, you say in their memory. Do something positive. Don't sit there like an idiot or stand there like an idiot because they're looking for Trump. Right? The press, the leftists that they are. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for people that this is such a volatile issue, such an emotional issue. This is not something you want to mess with. Why in the world would you start up? You're going to tell me it's the wrong way to do it. You're right. It's a non-Jewish way of doing things. Right. Right? We all agree. Let's say. We all agree. Very good. We all agree. But you're in that position. You stand. Because that'll make a desecration of God's name. That for sure will make a desecration of God's name. That you don't want. And we agree. It's the wrong thing to do. It's definitely the wrong thing to do. That doesn't change anything. Even though it's the wrong thing to do, perception in other people's eyes, even though we don't really care, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway, because we're going to follow what the Torah says. And they're going to look down on us for, any number of reasons. Okay, we are not out there to make problems, to make issues. We're not interested. We'll do what we need to do. We don't need to make provocations. This is one of the reasons, many of the rabbis were against Rameir Kahana, Hashem Yikam Dama. God should avenge his blood. Now, they might have agreed with what he said. And I think, he's right for a lot of things he said. But why were they against him? Because he started up with the nation. He started out with people. He started up with people. That's not the way. Right? So at the end of the day, we're not out to make provocations. We have a right to defend ourselves, to defend our customs and this and that. We don't go ramming it down people's throats. Now, do we have a right to protest? Yes. Do we have a right to stick up for Judaism when need to be? Yes. There's ways to do it. My Rebbe said many times, you want to protest, very good. What gives you the right to destroy property? Said this a lot of times. Someone will say, where are these people's rabbis? How come they don't listen? Because they're not listening. They're not asking. You think they're going to ask the rabbi, I'm going to go to this protest and this and that. Do I have a right to burn things down? You think anyone in their right mind is going to say yes? Yes, it's okay. Right? Or someone, if a woman, let's say, walks immodestly, in an ultra-Orthodox area, not her own fault. She didn't dress appropriately, listen, that gives someone the right to throw acid in her face. It happened. 100% it's happened. Throw acid in someone's face. Okay, I get it. They're not dressed right. Very good. That you're going to throw acid in the face? You're going to say that's okay? I have to stick up for Torah. That's insanity. That'd be like saying, okay, we're going to bully this person. We're going to push them around and, get them out of our area. Yeah, and if you're a guy, you're not allowed to touch a woman. Thank you very much. How do you all do that? Where's any rabbinic authority going to say that's okay? Nobody. Nobody. And if someone does, they're an idiot. Totally forbidden. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. So people say, yeah, I've seen videos, Orthodox Jews did this, did that. Who says it right? Right? So you ask the question, where's the rabbinic authority? You think people that are doing this have rabbinic authority? They go to ask them these questions? Don't think so. Someone's going to tell them someone doesn't dress appropriately. They walk in an ultra-Orthodox, neighborhood. So you have a right to throw acid on their face? You have a right? Stick up for God? No. Absolutely not. Right? You're going to say, isn't that obvious? It should be. But I've gotten this question. I've seen, videos of people doing this and doing that. So what? Very good. They exist. Okay. Is it right? Right? Is it right? No. Totally not right. Right? We don't have a right to antagonize people. Now, you're going to say, don't I have a right to defend Judaism? Yes. 100%. Are we out there in people's faces? No, we shouldn't be. We should be learning. Doing other things. But sometimes you have to protest, okay? Sometimes you have an obligation to. Fine. Doesn't give you a right to do whatever you want. So here my Rebbe's saying, don't lose control. Do not lose control over here. You want to place fear in someone, don't get out of control. But you see a person can yell and scream, and you're going to lose the argument because you're yelling and screaming, because you get all excited, and it's all a part of you. That has nothing to do with necessarily anger. You're all excited. You're all, you're all riled up. Why are you riled up? Because of the sanctity you have for Torah mitzvahs. That's what you're riled up about. 100%. That's what you're riled up against. Now you have a right to. You have a right to be angry. Right? You have a right. But how far does that go on the person? That's the question. So he's saying, even if you have to do this, right, to make sure there are no breaches in Torah, even if you feel you're going to burst out, you got to be in control. It's very easy to get under our skin, isn't it? Because people just trample on Torah mitzvahs. People just make fun of things. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. Crazy thing. So, my Rebbe's saying, even in that case, you can't get angry easily. But see, there's a mistake here. The mistake is that people mistake passion for anger. I had someone tell me, this could be just a problem with my own persona, right? I had someone tell me, pretty blunt. I guess if I'm blunt, people should be blunt back. Okay. Right. But, someone said, all these classes you give and these videos you make, you always look angry. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I do. Yeah. But people mistake passion for anger. Being passionate, defending something, and having to call people out, that does not mean you're angry. Even if it sounds like you raise your voice and you look that way, doesn't mean it's anger. People mistake passion for anger. So we should have passion. Shows we're not pansies. Means that we're alive, right? Bothers us. Things bother us. These things don't bother anybody. They just go along with life. Person says this, okay. Person says that, okay. It goes to the point where, you hear people what they say. You're like, really? That's what you believe? That's how far it goes. There's a lot to speak. A lot to speak about this because, again, people will say, well, you got to put fear in someone. You got to stop breaches from, being made in Torah. So being passionate, again, everyone will say, well, if you're going to get up there and give a fiery speech, it's not about anger. But could a person, just throw this out there, I'll take questions, a bunch of questions here, right? There's a question, a person gives a fiery speech and they're all, you see like their forehead like bursting out and they look like they're angry. Can they be angry? They can hate what a person does. They can't hate the person themselves. The wisest of all men, King Solomon himself, in Ecclesiastes, what does King Solomon say? He says, there's a time to love, there's a time to hate. There's a time to hate. When's there a time to hate? There are times to hate. You can't hate the person. You can hate what the person does. But at all times, what's the point? The point is, at all times, you got to be on an even keel. And passion does not fit this bill. Passion is not anger. But a person has to be careful. That's what he's telling you. Because you're bursting. You're bursting inside. You're saying, why is the person doing this? Why is the person doing that? Why are they doing other things? And you feel the pain. Feel God's pain. That means the person cares. That means the person's alive. Very good. You do not want it to get out of control. That's the point. That's the point here. Person feels the pain. It can, a person can be overcome. Person can be so overcome. They say, they do other things they shouldn't do. Yeah, let me take some questions here. Because I could keep going on this. How to respond to someone embarrasses, humiliates you? Oh, very good question. Very, very good question. What's the answer? What's the answer? Going to be shocked. I mean, maybe not be shocked. What's the answer? The answer is you don't say nothing. You don't say anything. You're going to say, what? I should just take it, whatever. Person gets embarrassed in public, you have the ability to give blessings. If you don't react, if you don't say anything. That's how powerful it is. Doesn't mean you're a dish rag here. Doesn't mean you just say, oh, thank you very much. Can I have some more? Right? Suffering is good. It takes away a lot of sin, 100%. In this case, person gets embarrassed in public, and you don't say anything. You have a right to react. You have a right to say something, no question. But let's say you don't. Right? It's better not to. 100% it's better not to. First of all, you get all your sins atoned for. And because the person withstood the temptation, tremendous temptation to lash out and say things, speak Lashon Hara, and all kinds of things, that point, if a person's really embarrassed in public, I mean, this is what it is. They're embarrassed in public, guess what? You have the ability to give blessings. Person like that, they don't say anything. And they don't react. They can give blessings to other people. Other people should get blessings from them. Because they didn't react. It's a huge thing. Huge thing. They get slaughtered in public. In public. And they don't react. So when they don't react, you're going to say, oh, person's a wuss. My language. Person's a wimp, person's this, person's that. They don't react. They're a loser. They should say something, do something. Stick up for themselves. No, rabbis tell us not that way. If you're silent, you don't react, you don't say anything. You just take it. You have the ability at that second, and during that day, you have that ability to give blessings to other people, and God's going to hear them more than any other blessing. Because you didn't react. You could have spoken Lashon Hara. You could have said all kinds of things. You didn't say anything. Not that you're a wimp, you're a wuss. Then you could have said something, you didn't defend yourself. You have a right to defend yourself. Right? But we say that if you don't say anything, everything gets taken care of. All your sins gone. But not only that. Not only that. The whole thing. You have the ability to get blessings, and these blessings come to fruition. Because you can ask for whatever you want. You give to others what they need at that split second. I'm saying you get the day. After that day, okay. Right? You don't get longer than that. But you got a short window. Short window. Now, this is a very hard thing to do. Very, very hard thing to do. No one wants to get embarrassed. Getting embarrassed is like murder. Okay. Being embarrassed is like murder. True. But imagine if you don't say anything. That's the question. Imagine if you don't say anything. You got that power to bless other people. Doesn't mean you're a wuss. Doesn't mean you're a wimp over here. You don't say anything. You saved yourself from speaking Lashon Hara. From speaking Lashon Hara and other things. Huge. That's huge self-control. That's not pity. It's like, oh, I'm just I'm just so weak and this. No, you have that ability. You have that ability. Tremendous ability. That's the answer. That's the answer. How about people get angry at God? Come on, give me some easier questions. I hear about it a lot. People say, we believe God is all good. When are we the biggest believers? It's going to hurt, but when are we the biggest believers? We have money in our bank account, things are going well. When does the real test of Amunah and Bitachon, our faith and belief in God, start? When you have a test. So people can be, quote unquote, the biggest believers till they have a test. That is the test here. You're going to blaspheme against God? You're going to say things negative because now you didn't get your own way? Now things are hard? What about all the good? What about all the good you have? People forget the good. Mentioned many times. Imagine a person goes for, routine blood work. Doctor says, next day, come in straight away. You're going to be scared out of your wits. So come in straight away. You're thinking worse disease. You're going to die in 3 months. That's what you're thinking. And then let's say, go through another barrage test. We found this, we found that. And then let's say down the road, the whole thing disappeared. You didn't have to go through chemo, nothing. The mistake, or it went away. Even better, went away. Went away by itself. Before that happens, the importance you put on things is now totally different. When someone said to you, someone angered you, this and that, I don't think you really care anymore. You're fighting for your life. Fighting for your life is more important than anything else, right? See, it should be more important than anything else. Your outlook is now totally 100% different. What's the problem? What's the obvious problem here? The obvious problem is, let's say this went on for a 2-month period, 6-month period, whatever. And this thing, whatever a person had, disappeared. We'll make it easy. Disappeared. During those 6 months, what happened? Things that were like important to you, they don't matter anymore. What this person said, that person did, they don't matter anymore. Because you're looking at the world a totally different way. Right? Now, what's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is God takes it away. 6 months, you've been through this whole turmoil. God takes it away. Yeah, totally takes it away. Okay. What about what this person said to you? A year before, 2 years before, you're still holding a grudge now. Before that, you weren't even thinking about it. You care less about it. Like I heard somebody say, I heard someone say, when everything's done in God's, whenever that's going to be, what's going to happen the first day? I would say a week, but this person said the first day after, God's is taking care of at whatever level, things quote unquote go back to normal, protests are going to start up again. First day, I give it a week. Person said 1 day. That next day, there are going to be people protesting against this judicial reform. What about all the unity? What happened? Everyone's united during the war. Very good. Got a lot of people united. A lot of good things going on. Tremendous. It's too bad. You need the war to do this. But when that war is over, what's going to happen? People go back to what they did before. It's human nature. They have to be united now because, it's a war against Jewish people. I get it. War against the state of Israel. I get it. Everyone's banding together. But it's only temporary. Because the reality is, when things quote unquote go back to normal, what's going to happen? We know what's going to happen. Same thing that happened before. The whole year before. The whole Lashon Hara fest. Right against the left against everyone else. Total disunity. God says, okay, I'll bring everyone together. Did it in a nasty way. That's what anti-Semitism does. It keeps the Jewish people together. Not that we need it. Not that we should desire more of it. There's plenty of it out there. But it's sad. It's sad it has to come to that. Very, very sad. How could people forget? Because now they're looking at things totally different. Okay, we had to band together, right? We had to have unity. We want to bring everyone together. We have a common enemy. Very good. So now what happens? That common enemy gets vanquished. Or, I don't know, it slows down, whatever, however it's going to be. Very good. Then the day after, this person claims to go back to doing what they're doing before. Because it's only temporary. It's not what God wants. He wants us to have unity regardless. Right? We forget, we're petty. We hold grudges, which is forbidden according to the Torah. This is hard to hear. Because we want to look at ourselves as being good. It's trying hard. We're our own worst enemy. This decree was already made last year. That festival didn't help it, okay, but that's not the reason. It could very well be, again, I'm just throwing this out there, you take it with a grain of salt. The disunity between the Jewish people and what was going on and all the Lashon Hara and everything else in God's backyard, could that have caused it by itself? Could have. I'm not saying it is. Definitely a factor. I think it's definitely a factor, nothing to talk about. Not the only thing. Plenty of other, God forbid, terrible things going on. But that's where it starts. Can't forget. You know, there's unity right now. Very good. You need unity in time of war. I mean, Hamas wasn't stupid. They attacked at the time there's total disunity. No question. Focus on things that, spoke about it a lot. It's crazy. This whole thing. So, I don't really answer the question. Let's focus more. People that get angry at God. Now, the assumption is, and it's a bad assumption. There's a bad assumption. And what is that? The bad assumption is we assume we get what we should deserve, or we deserve what we should get. What happens when it does not go our way? See, this is the problem. We make bad assumptions. We think, I have this coming. I deserve this. Whether it's health, whether it's financial, whether it's family, I don't know, whatever it is. I have this coming. This should be like this and like this. Well, guess what? Life does not work that way. Wish it would. Life would be easy. But I'm going to tell you a scary thing the Orthodox Jews says. Orthodox Jews, the duty of the heart, says like this. That the Mishna Pirke Avos says, which we mentioned way back. That why should a person get rewards? Why should a person get reward? Or why should a person think that God's gift to the world if they learned a lot of Torah? Because that's what they're born and bred to do. That's our job. Learn Torah, keep the mitzvahs, that's our job. Right? So you're going to say, oh, I'm God's gift to the world. Look what I do. Look how much I learn. God says, but that's what you're obligated to do. What the rabbis tell us. You're obligated to sit and learn Torah. Very good. Some more, some less, whatever, but you're obligated to sit and learn Torah. Okay. If that's my obligation, I got a problem. What's the problem? I got a lot of problems. What's one of them? Why should I get reward? The Mishna at the beginning of the last chapter of Sanhedrin says, every Jew has a portion of the world to come. Then it goes on to say how you could lose it. Okay. Every Jew has a portion of the world to come. Very good. Right? If we do what we're supposed to do. If you prepare Erev Shabbos, the Gemara says, and Avodah Zarah 2b to 3a, if you prepare that for Erev Shabbos, you get to eat on Shabbos. Meaning, I prepared myself in this world, draw close to God, this, that. I should have a portion of the world to come. Comes on the Orthodox Jews and says, but you're born to keep the mitzvahs. You're obligated to keep mitzvahs. If I'm obligated to keep mitzvahs, why should God give me a reward? Why should I get that hoodie? People in Boston know this Dixie cup made with, it's ice cream, half chocolate, half vanilla, made from a company called Hood. That's why they called it a hoodie, right? So get a hoodie. I should get a hoodie. Why not? I did what you said. So I should get reward. You're going to say it's crazy. Of course you get reward. God promises reward. Why? Doesn't make sense logically. Because if I do what I'm supposed to do, that's what you're supposed to do. You want a reward? You want a hoodie? Come on. You are obligated to keep Torah mitzvahs as a Jew, or keep the Noahide laws as a non-Jew. Very good. And I should get rewarded for that? It's my obligation. Come on, the Orthodox Jews. The Orthodox Jews says, you know what? You know why God gives you reward? God doesn't have to give you a reward. 100%, he does not have to give you a reward. Why does he give you rewards? Because it's an act of chesed. It's an act of loving kindness. Because the reality is we don't deserve bupkis. We don't deserve nothing. God gives us the ability to live. Gives us food. Takes care of our needs. We're not living outside. We don't own our own homes. Doesn't matter. He gives us all our needs. He owes us? What does he owe us? He gives us life. Isn't that enough? You can say, but I suffer and I go through. Okay, another issue. Another issue we're not going to talk about. But he takes care of our needs. And you want a bonus? You want this hoodsie? Why'd you get a hoodsie? You deserve nothing. He gives you life. That should be your reward. Sometimes better, sometimes not. That's your reward. You deserve something on top of it. Why does God give it to you? Says the Chovos HaLevavos, you know why he gives it to you? As an act of chesed. But does he have to? No. The Gemara even says, disagreement between Hillel, the house of Hillel, the house of Shammai for 2.5 years. Is it a good thing man was created or not? Back and forth, yes, no, there's that. 2.5 years they argued. So they finally came to the conclusion, better that mankind wasn't born, wasn't around, but now that we are, we have to look into our actions. We have to look into our actions. So we have to live according to the way God wants. The problem is, everybody wants easy way out. Everybody wants easy way out. They say, listen, I got an 18-year-old, 19-year-old telling me I'm holding better than 95% of world jewelry. Cut me some slack. Well, let's say it's true. But you have greater potential. Now, there are people say life isn't fair. Evil people have it easy. The righteous have it hard. Read the book Derech Hashem, right? Ramchal speaks about it. Why all this happens? Everything's a test. Okay, some people have harder tests, some people not. People have harder lives, some people easier lives, whatever it is. Make no mistake, it's not about life being fair. See, this is the mistake people make. This person has it easy, this person has this. You know, I'm trying to keep Torah mitzvah, I'm getting slaughtered. Slaughtered. You know, I was speaking to someone last night, and we're saying that, non-Jew in the process of conversion, their evil inclination comes after conversion. They're going to say, wow, it's so hard now. We're going through so many difficult things. Why afterwards? I mean, you go through a hardship going through the conversion. And afterwards, Bala Jew have it also. Don't even grow up religious. Why? God looks at you a totally different way now. Totally different way. You had it easy before, now it's a different set of parameters. I'll tell you further. At the same time, for a non-Jew in the process of conversion, JIT, I would call them a Jew in training. Yeah, after conversion, it's all for real. A guy's got to pray 3 times a day. He's got to know what blessings to make. He has to know how to keep Shabbos. A lot of things they have to know and do right. See, if you're doing it, feel like doing it, I don't feel like doing it, more or less, okay, it's all practice. It's all practice right now. When it becomes real, when it becomes this is my obligation every single day, yeah, that's when the eighth hour kicks in. That's when the evil inclination comes in. Because the evil inclination is going to say, nah, it's too hard, relax, do this. Yeah, now it's all for real. When it's all for real, it's a whole different thing. See, if I don't have an obligation to pray, throwing out 3 times a day like a Jew, okay. You feel like it, you don't feel like it, you're into it more, you're not. You can cut yourself a lot of slack. You can be extremely lazy. Because I'm not even obligated to do any of this, right? 100%, you're not obligated. Very good. Now you're obligated, different issue. So people get, why do people get angry at God? Because life is hard. They have hardship, whatever the hardship may be. Now they think they have a right, to get angry at God. So you tell them, or I would say, okay, let's analyze our lives. Honestly. See, you have nightmares later. You'll thank me for this. Yeah, let's analyze honestly what I deserve, what I should deserve. Honestly means, in God's eyes, take stock. Take stock of what you've done during the day. Before your head hits the pillow, think, what did I do? How did I interact with others? How did I pray? If I had an obligation to pray, how did I make blessings? How did I keep Shabbos? A lot of things, interpersonal relationships. But be honest. Don't be overbearing, but look at it, in an objective way. The Chovos HaLevavos will quote him again. Chovos HaLevavos says we don't even do 1/10, 1/4, 1/3 of what we're supposed to do. I mean, this is very depressing. That's why everyone comes. They come out so depressed. Yeah. We don't do it a third, a quarter of anything we're supposed to do in this world when it comes to serving God. Don't you think if we're not doing what we're supposed to do? We're talking about the king of the universe. He's got a right to punish us. You say, but I'm working hard and this. Okay, there are a lot of levels here. How many people are going to pass this test? How many people are going to get more than 75? Some people will. There are some people very righteous, working on themselves, and they got to be honest though. How did I deal with other people? Whatever. A lot of things you got to think about during the day that you did, that I learned to capacity. Did I just sleep all day? Maybe you need to sleep all day, right? You don't sleep a lot. Okay. But you got to be honest. And if we're really honest, we're in serious trouble. Serious trouble. On a daily basis. We don't want to get a C- every day. When you get a C- every day, God's going to say after a while, come on. Why am I keeping you in this world? Why am I making it easy for you? Why am I helping you? That's being honest. I mean, it's downright depressing, but that's being honest. So now, someone's going to come back and say, well, God didn't give me this. Well, God made that hard. Why did he do it? Why did he do it? The Gemara Bracha says you got to look into your actions. You got to think it's probably something I did. You'll never figure it out. Maybe you're getting paid back now for something you did, 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. God's now calling it in. Maybe it's something your soul has to go through. Maybe it's a million things. We'll never figure it out. The Gemara says, let's say you figured it out. It's not anything you did wrong. Let's say. Yeah. So then we come to the conclusion it's Yisurim Shalav. It's suffering because God loves you. You can say, God loves me, wants me to suffer. So it could be. He wants you to be squeaky clean so you don't suffer in the next one. Right? God's not a masochist here. Everything's measure for measure. But let's ask a little bit different. See, I'm jumping around this whole topic here. Right? Why do people get angry? Why do people get angry at God? Because life is hard. So the parents suffer. They themselves suffer. They see other people have it easy. Right? A million things why they could question what God does. But see, it's all in perspective. Because if they're really growing in Torah mitzvahs, they understand that they're not holding where they need to be. Not even close. Right? And Kaufman's law is it could be 10 times worse. Whatever we're going through, God can make it a lot worse. Don't ask. He can make it a lot worse. But think about it. You're giving lip service to him. You're doing a third, a quarter, whatever of what we're supposed to do. God doesn't have a right to punish. God doesn't say, why doesn't he have a right to punish? We think we deserve what we deserve. God gives us life. He doesn't have to give us anything. He doesn't owe us anything. This is a mistake. God does not owe us anything. He doesn't have to reward us. He doesn't have to take care of our needs. He can make it a lot worse. People have an agenda. They have an axe to grind. I'm not saying people don't go through difficulty. Everyone goes through hardship. Everybody. Some more, some less, a lot of different things. So people say, well, if God is all good, which he is, why did this happen? Good question. Why this person suffering? I don't know. We can say, well, they probably did something wrong. And say, okay. We can make guesses. We don't know. We don't know. Sometimes God plucks, great people to atone for a lot of things. You can have two people where God said I was going to kill 50,000. I'll take two. I'll take two of the greats. They don't, don't have to be great rabbinic scholars. Two great people. You find out afterwards how great they really were. Sometimes God plucks the roses. There are a lot of things we don't see, we don't understand. Right? We live in an upside down world. What we see, we don't see. What we don't understand. So people can have a claim. People can have a claim, but I think they're missing the whole point of life. The whole point of life is God gives us everything, takes care of all takes care of all our needs. So where's the goodness? Where's the gratitude? It's one of the worst sins. The person has no gratitude. But you're gonna say life is hard, or life is this, life is that. You're right. But you have to have the eyes to be able to see the good also. I've heard stories. People around them go through certain things. They're not going through it. It's like God passed over them. Why? There are things we can see with our own eyes. Things may not look pretty, in different ways. But God's there behind the scenes the entire time. We just, say, okay, I don't know what you want here. Trying this, I'm trying that. I've seen it many times over. I'll shrug, I'll look up to heaven, I'll say, okay, you're in charge. Whatever you want. I'm not going to change. I'm going to go in that path. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Try and be better than I can be. You want to squeeze me? Okay. You hope we get the message. But so the question is, or the answer really is, what about people who question God? Right? Or get angry? Why do they get angry? Because they're in pain. They're suffering. Or they know other people that are suffering. Right? People could say, and I've heard this in different ways, what happened on October 7th. That's like, it's terrible. War is terrible. And you're right. But there's a war going outside of Israel. Very, very strong war. Anti-Semitism, the highest it's ever been. Especially on college campuses. How can you have, I might speak about this week in this Q&A, one of my Q&As. How can you have three presidents? I don't really go into it because I'll spend the next 2 hours speaking about it. How can you have three presidents of three Ivy League schools? UPenn, Harvard, and MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And all three of them could not say, because of freedom of speech, quote unquote, that genocide of the Jewish people is wrong. And all three said similar things, only if it leads to conduct. Only if it leads to conduct? You don't think, if you're calling for Jews to be killed, that's not going to lead to conduct? You don't think intimidating students is going to lead to conduct? Of course it's going to. People afraid for their lives because there are lynch mobs on college campuses. It's insanity. So you tell me higher education is really, yeah, there are issues, serious issues, especially billions of dollars they're getting from Qatar and other places. And they have their own moles inside these universities teaching there. But how far does free speech go, for goodness sakes? I heard someone say, thank God someone said it. This would, Congressman said it, or Congresswoman, and one of them said it, that, if this is against blacks, we already have this against blacks. It's called segregation. But if you'd call out blacks like this, everyone would be on top of them like no tomorrow. Or any other ethnic group. Well, blacks is a good example. You did that against blacks, the whole country would be burnt down. The entire country would be burnt down. Of course they should be angry. Against Jews, you have to say if it leads to conduct. These people could have much greater IQs than me in 10 lifetimes. That's not racist. Only if it leads to something. Of course, it's gonna lead to something. That's how pogroms start. Exactly how pogroms and Holocaust start. Gonna leave my mind open till my brains fall on the floor. This is the best. This is the intellectual elite that allows people to come that are violently anti-Semitic to speak on. Can't know it's free speech. So some of them will say, I was very much against what they, who these people represented, but we allowed them to come. So again, flip the script here. If these people were anti-black or anti-Asian, let's say, or anti-anybody else, and they were spewing these things, you're going to tell me under free speech you're not going to condemn it? You're going to allow it? That's a bit much. I don't believe for 1 second. Not 1 second. And these other minorities get a free pass. Nobody. Jewish people, it's a different issue. Different issue. And that's actually what some of these Congress people said. Why should it only be against them? Think about it. All the hate crimes in America. 60% against who? Jews. 60%. That's insane. We're such a small minority. But I don't want to get off topic here. So people say, why are we being targeted? Why does God hate us so much? So we can make excuses because God did this, or God, God's not helping me with this, or this is hard and that's hard. They're in pain. I get it. They're in pain. The only problem is they're not taking responsibility. They are saying God owes me, or life shouldn't be that hard. Should not be that hard. What am I going through 10 different things at once, which a lot of people do. Some people more, some people less. Yeah. Could we have a claim? Sure. What if you were being squeezed in one way? Let's say you get health, other things are going well, you're getting squeezed, let's say family-wise or financially. Yeah. If a person's getting squeezed on one thing and not other things, we'll make it easy. So aren't I thankful that what kind of person getting squeezed financially? A lot of people getting squeezed financially, right? So that's it. But what if you have health? What if you're in good health? You got a head over your roof. You got a roof over your head. You have food. Okay, sometimes you have more, sometimes less, whatever. Not living in a perfect system here. Very good. So where's the gratitude? People are assuming they have it coming. That I should have this, I should have that, I should have the other thing. So people have an agenda. People have an agenda. So why do they get angry? They can have a million things they're angry about. Health, family, job, million things. So of course, some people will say, why is God doing this to me? What would be the obvious answer? What do you deserve over here? What in the world do you deserve over here? Why do you deserve it? Because people think they have it coming. People think they deserve it. Right? For different reasons. So therefore, they're angry. Or they're angry, they see what happened to other people. Maybe their lives are easier. Why is this person so? Why is this person going through whatever? Yeah, somebody asks. Says, Gemara says, Baruch Hu Vatron, Yivatzru Me'af. Yeah, anyone says God's going to look the other way, so to speak, think again, right? It's a liberal translation, I would say. Question is, if Shem is not forgiving, there are certain things God's not forgiving. One of them is that a person had the ability to learn Torah, they didn't. Right? That seems very hard for God to forgive. Right, that's what the Yerushalmi says, Jerusalem Talmud says. So the question is, okay, if Shem is not forgiving, if he's not forgiving, then why is such a thing as tshuva? So what's the answer? You just answered the question. The answer is God says he's not forgiving on this. Tshuva doesn't help. How does tshuva not help? The only time tshuva doesn't help, the Gemara says, God, that Acher, Elisha ben Abuya, heard a heavenly voice say everyone can repent except for him. So that has to be understood in its context. But who says you can't repent? It says whoever says God's going to look the other way, no, you're going to pay the price. You're right. You're going to pay the price for whatever that is. Whatever that sin is, I agree. You're going to pay a very serious price. God's not forgiving. But that goes against a major precedent. The major precedent is there's repentance. So yeah, God's not forgiving if you didn't repent. If I repented, why shouldn't God forgive it if I properly repented? Doesn't mean God never forgives. But we're talking about a case where a person didn't repent. If a person didn't repent, yeah, God's not going to forgive it. Yeah, also, according to Rebbe Chanan Wasson, there's no Tinok Shanishba today. If Jews know their Shabbos, they're kosher. Yeah. So Tinok Shanishba is a lot of different levels. A lot of different levels. Rav Eliashiv, blessed memory, held the same thing. As long as he went further. He went further as long as you know you're a Jew. If you know you're a Jew, it doesn't matter if you don't know what that means. If you never heard of Shabbos, doesn't matter. He would say, you know that you're a Jew, that's enough. That's an extreme position. Yeah. I know plenty of people know they're Jews. They don't know a clue what it means. There are a lot of different levels there. A lot of different levels there. Some would say, I heard this, and it's very hard for me to imagine. Someone grew up modern Orthodox. They never learned Torah properly, a lot of them. Not going to say anything about their rabbis or whatever. I'm just saying, a lot of them have a lot of misconceptions about Torah. So I heard somebody say, and it's very hard for me to understand also, is that they learned Torah. No one's going to say they didn't learn Torah. How do they have it in Tinok Shanishba like they were held captive by the non-Jews? They don't know anything about Judaism. They learned. They know what Torah is to a great extent. I'll take it further. Someone said, forget modern Orthodox. Someone who grew up in the religious system also have a din of Tinok Shanishba. Very hard to say. They know what Torah is. They learned. They have desires. They went against it. Whatever. There are different levels. I asked my Rebbe a question like this. Someone could be at my Shabbos table for the next 20 years. Yeah. They're not going to keep Torah mitzvah. Is that considered rebellion against God, or is that a Tinok Shanishba? Someone, again, it's like they don't know anything. But they're there. They know what Shabbos is. They understand what Shabbos is. They never learned, whatever. Okay, but they see it. See, you make blessings, this, that. You say words of Torah, they know what it is, more or less. So I said, is that a rebellion against God? And he says, yeah. It's a rebellion, but why are they doing it? Why are they not going to keep it? Taiva, desire. It's desire. So he said they still have a din of Tinok Shanishba. They still have that stat. I said, but it's a rebellion. They're there. They're not interested. You're right. But it's all about desire today. So there are different, there are different levels. I heard someone say, never saw it in print, but I heard it said in some, great rabbinic authority's name that even if they go to synagogue, they don't have a din of Tinok Shanishba. And they went to a Reformed synagogue, that's a synagogue. They went to a conservative synagogue, that's a synagogue. It's also hard to understand. Again, I'm puny compared to these people, way puny. I'm saying I don't understand that idea. So what if they walked into a synagogue? And let's say, they're Jewish. They know they're Jewish. The synagogue's an aberration. It's an abomination, what goes on in these places. An absolute abomination. Not the people, just what goes on there. How can that be called that they know enough not to be called Tinok Shanishba? That's very hard to say. Very, very hard to say. There are different levels of what a person knows. Yeah. Right? Because, so I made it more graphic. Say, every Jew knows their Shabbos. Yeah, but they have weird ideas what they think Shabbos is. Doesn't mean they know it. But I said even stronger. If they know they themselves are a Jew, according to Rebbe Yashuv, that's enough. They know they're a Jew. Well, very hard to understand. He's the greatest rabbi of the last generation. Far from me to say, yeah, totally wrong, missed the boat. Very, very hard to understand. So what if they know they're a Jew? What does that have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with anything. They still don't know anything. It doesn't change anything. And that's for me is the harder thing to understand. Yeah, somebody asked, what if you're mad at yourselves at idolatry? No. Be mad at yourself, person has high standards. Person can have high standards. They made a mistake. They don't want to make mistakes. They keep making the same mistake. It's not idolatry. Right? Even if a person gets mad at themselves, they start throwing things around and this and that. Yeah, that's a different issue. Depends what level here. Right? Anger, it doesn't matter why a person's angry. A person can have the highest ideals of what they're angry about. Very good. Doesn't give you the right, to rip things and, be totally out of control. Again, even if something you yourself did. I had someone once tell me they did things when they were younger and they were, besides themselves. Remorse, regrets. How is God ever going to forgive me? That's a little bit different. It's not necessarily anger. It's not necessarily anger. Right? It's something that's really feeling sorry for themselves and not be able to, overcome that. But even if someone's angry at themselves, it's not idolatry. It depends what level of anger. It becomes idolatry when you're totally not in control. You start yelling, screaming, starts, ripping things. That's a different issue. But if a person has a higher standard for themselves, or any standard, just angry for what they themselves, doesn't mean it's idolatry. Doesn't mean it's idolatry. Someone asks, 1 second here. Somebody asks, okay, it says, Extra 22 verse 19, we shall oppress strangers. Is that saying something a goyish thing? Why is that a goyish thing? Why in the world is that goyish? Yeah. Oppressing strangers, right? Stranger among us. Right? Proselytes, converts. Yeah. You're not treating them properly. You remind them of the past. That's a Torah prohibition. Baal Tshuva, someone became religious, an Orthodox secular Jew became religious. Remind them of their past. Torah prohibition. Why is that goyish? Right? Are we allowed to vex strangers? Is that a good character trait to have? Is that something we should strive for? Vexing strangers, right? We were strangers in the land of Egypt, right? So what gives us the right to do that to others? Now, if they deserve it, it's one thing. We're talking about where they don't deserve it. So you're giving them a hard time for no reason. You remind them of the past, other things. Not in the place where you're rebuking and this, you're doing it the wrong way. Right? You're reminding them of the past, which is forbidden to do. Why is that goyish? The Torah itself says I have to give rebuke to my fellow people. Right? But I have to treat others with respect. Right? There are things in the non-Jewish world that would make sense. That are universal. Doesn't that make sense? Universally? Didn't Hillel say you shouldn't treat anyone like you wouldn't want to be treated yourself? That's not goyish. Not a non-Jewish concept. Could a non-Jew come up with that idea? Yeah, could have. Isn't that universal? Not one of the Noahide laws. I'd say it's a moral imperative. It's also universal. Don't do anything to anyone you wouldn't want to do to yourself. You want to call that goyish? It's not goyish. God our Father says, Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 7 to 10, our brethren are coming us to go worship idols. We should kill them. Right? We should kill them. Yeah. Because what are they doing? They're causing you to go astray. Someone is causing you to go to astray, it's death penalty. Yeah, that's pretty severe. Okay. Now, spiritual killing is something embarrassing except the way of killing the idolaters in Israel. Now, really, idolaters should be wiped out. Yeah. In general. So you got Jews for J, and then let's say there are a lot of Jews there, which they are. Idolatry for Jews and non-Jews, death penalty. Now you can't give a death penalty today. Right? You don't have a Sanhedrin today. Now, non-Jew, technically, if I wouldn't get caught, technically speaking, you see them bow down to an idol, you shoot them right on the spot. But obviously, there's the law of the land, you can't do that. You won't get away with it. Okay. Right? But idolatry, anyway, you can't kill today. There's no way to do it. You don't have a Jewish Supreme Court, no Sanhedrin. There's no Sanhedrin. Yeah. It's spiritual killing. So there's a big mitzvah. Anyone who's evil and God dies. Chofetz Chaim says in the laws of Lashon Hara, it's not forbidden to speak against them. It's not forbidden to make fun of them. Right? I always tell people 3 cardinal sins, right? Every Jew, non-Jew has to give up their life for. Sorry, every Jew doesn't apply to a non-Jew. One of them is idolatry, one of them is murder, one of them is immorality. So if a Jew or non-Jew put a gun to your head, anytime, any place, and say, I want you to bow down to this guy in the stick, right? A reference to JC, or a short little fat guy. Mr. Buddha himself. I call him Fatso, yeah? Yeah, they say, bow down to Fatso or die. Now, they're not going to tell you, they're not going to call him Fatso. They have respect. I don't have to have respect for idolatry. I can make fun of idolatry as much as I want. That's how you beat idolatry. That's exactly how you beat it. Yeah, you make fun of it. Mitzvah to make fun of it. You got to tell me. In that Lashon Hara? No. It's not Lashon Hara. Evil people are going to say whatever I want against them. Now, is it better not to? So you don't have to speak in Lashon Hara against people you're not allowed to? Yeah, but technically speaking, evil people, I can say whatever I want against them. Can't even take away their livelihood if I had the opportunity. A lot of things you could do. So how do you beat it? How do you get rid of idolatry, so to speak? Yeah, you make fun of them. You make fun of them as much as I want. Yeah. It's not the idolaters that are the problem here in Israel, it's the Arab problem. It's a mixed multitude. They're the ones, not just in Israel, other places also, in charge of, any secular institution or in the government. As the Vilna Gaon says in Evan Shleima. Yeah, so they're the real problem. Yeah, the problem, you do have a lot of Jews that are mixed in with Jews for J. Yeah, it's a problem. That for sure is a problem. Right? But since you can't kill them, even though they deserve death penalty, regardless, making fun of them is, that's one way to do it. Definitely one way to do it. Right? Is killing what they believe in. Destroying, breaking down what they believe in, that's for sure. Someone asks, if you embarrass idol worshiper like a missionary, not a problem. Doesn't apply. Technically speaking, I could take this, idolater, throw him in a pit. He'll die there of starvation, not my problem. Yeah, I don't have to help him out. I can throw him in the pit. Yeah, today would be a different issue. You wouldn't be able to do it for other reasons. But that's the law. That's how bad idolatry is. But idolatry in general, to show how bad it is, I can make fun of it as much as I want. It's not Lashon Hara, it's not a problem. Can I embarrass an idolater? Yeah. I can totally embarrass it. The famous story from Noah Weinberg, blessed memory, that founded Aish Torah, founded a lot of yeshivas, but it was the force behind Aish Torah, that there was a guy who came into the yeshiva, and there was this guy with him that was like, trying to convince him to be a Christian. So Noah Weinberg looks at this guy. He says, you listen to him? He's like, I'm going to show you how idiot this guy is. So he tells the Christian, he says, give me a watch. He says, can I have your watch? Now he has to give it to you, right? He's going to give it to you. So he says, well, what about your shoes? Takes his shoes, takes his watch. He basically stripped him down. Got his shirt, got his pants. So he's like, whoever this guy was, I call him John. It's like, John, like, this is the guy you want to go with? I'm not going to strip him down anymore. I don't want, Yeah, he totally stripped him down. Made him look like an absolute fool. Because according to what he believes, you ask for something, he's going to give it. Can I have your wallet? Have your credit cards? Like, can I borrow your glasses? What about your ring? You got a chain? Can I borrow that? He said, this guy's an idiot. You got to listen to this guy. He's going to give you everything, Strip this missionary down. Totally stripped him down. You don't think this guy was embarrassed? It didn't matter. Totally didn't matter. Yeah. So yeah, we're not worried about that. We're not worried about it. Is it good to get in shouting matches and do that? No. You want to try, best of our ability, you want to try and convince them that what they're doing is wrong. See what Rabbi Singer does. He never does that. They're just trying to show where they're wrong, where they're misguided in a very nice way. Tells them how much he loves them because yell and scream and do other things, they're not going to listen. You're not even going to get their attention. Doesn't mean you're going to change them, but you give them what to think about. So yeah, technically speaking, could you embarrass them in public? Sure. The evil people, these things don't apply. Even if they don't know anything. Technically, any secular Jew, I don't care what they know or what they don't know. Technically, I can say whatever I want against them. Say whatever I want. Whenever I want. No purpose. Just to make fun of them. Yeah. Now, could I embarrass them in public? So this is a good question. If they're doing things not considered part of your people, then I could. They're not your people. I could do it. Is it a good thing to do? No. But I could. Not forbidden. Right? If they're not doing the acts of your people. That's what it says. I have to rebuke your people. What if he's not doing Ma'isa Amcha? He's not doing the actions of your people. That's a great Shabbos in public. He's intermarried. Or she's intermarried. Whatever it is. If they're not doing the actions of your people, it doesn't matter what they know or they don't know. I can say whatever I want against them. I can embarrass them in public. Wouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be. I'm not saying you should do it. Right? I wouldn't go that far. I can say whatever I want against them. Free speech. It's not a problem according to Torah. It's not a problem according to the law of the Lashon Hara. Someone here, man's Jewish Catholic missionary, since not all Christians believe JC is God. Right? Jews in Israel support the LGBTQ or whatever. Okay. People that cause other people to go astray, their punishment is very severe. It's worse than the person doing the transgression themselves. They get Reform rabbis. They don't know nothing from nothing. And they're causing people to go astray. So even if they're causing people to go astray, I don't think they're going to be severely punished, yeah. But they don't know anything. So what? They're causing people to go astray. So yeah, even you got Jews that support these movements, okay. God's going to deal with them. You don't have to worry. God's going to take care of them. Right? 100%. 100%. I mean, you got one of the biggest gay populations in the world in Tel Aviv. Yeah. Serious problem. Serious problem. God's going to deal with them. 100%. Right? So, these people that support it, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. If they're not doing the act, okay. Right? It's better. I wouldn't necessarily call it idolatry. They're just going according to whatever their desire tells them to do. Not necessarily idolatry. But even so, it's pretty severe. You're backing something you can't back. You're saying something is okay when it's not, when it's a pretty severe prohibition. So yeah, God's going to deal with them. 100% God's going to deal with them. Right? So the question is, making fun of this and that, you got to be very careful. Right? And the reason is because, they got more rights than you do. They always have more rights than you do. That this is the problem. In states, other places, you can't say anything against. You don't have freedom of speech, right? You for sure don't have freedom of speech, right? And in this case, you lose your job if you don't say certain things, right? It's crazy. The only reason, again, we have Israel is because of our God of our fathers. Okay, yeah, right. So why don't people see this? You want to ask me why people don't see it? People see things in front of their face, they don't see it because they don't want to see it. They're not interested in seeing it. They want to make the land of Israel like any other place. They don't believe in God, or even if they do, they say, the way you believe, I don't believe, or whatever. It's all based on desire and agenda. That's what it is. Two people can see the exact same thing, and they interpret it totally different ways. One person will say it's an open miracle, other people say no. Other people say, oh, it's a coincidence, this happened, that happened, whatever. So why didn't that person see the same thing? Because they don't want to see it. You want to tell me, 39 Scud missiles during the Gulf War. They don't hit anything. They don't hit a building, they hit nothing. Some guy takes off his watch, tries to say, yeah, I can figure that out exponentially. Come on. What if it's 1 in a billion? You want to tell me, I would bet all the money I don't have. 39 Scud missiles not to hit anything? Not to hit anything? You got the stupidest Arabs in the world shooting this. I just saw something earlier that in Lebanon, they're shooting all these missiles, 20% fall in their own territory. Yeah, 20%. Yeah, so you want to tell me I could figure out exponentially. Whatever it is, 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion, whatever it may be. 39 Scud missiles not going to hit anything. These things are supposed to be, very accurate. Not going to hit anything, 1 or 2 choices. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 choices. Either you got the stupidest people shooting them. That's a possibility. Definite possibility. Right? But 39 not to hit anything, or God's in charge. That's it. You don't have anything in between. You have nothing in between, not to hit anything. I mean, Israel's a pretty populous place in a lot of areas. Pretty popular. You get a lot of people in a lot of places. It's a small country, but not to hit anything. Not a telephone pole. Not a building. Nothing. You don't hit the ground. You only hit open areas. They're pretty amazing. So this person said, yeah, I can figure that out on my calculator. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. The odds are like 0. But why are they going to say it could be 1 in this and 1 in that? Because they want to say God's not in charge. That's how far it goes. It's cognitive dissonance. They're going to say, how could a person not see that? Ask the question. Ask that question. What's the answer? Because they don't want to see it. They don't want to see the truth. You think people today are arguing about the truth? They don't argue about the truth. People today want to do what they want to do, and they want you to leave them alone and not tell them what to do. That's what they're doing. No more, no less. They want to do what they want to do. They're not going to argue the facts. They don't care about the facts. All they want to do is what their desire tells them. Period. That's it. That's all they're doing. So you want to ask me why they don't want to see it? Of course they don't want to see it, because they want to change. See, in the last 30 years, I met one intellectually honest person. And he said he was into marrying. And he said, if I look into Judaism and I find out it's true, I have to change. I'm not willing to change. Okay? That person is intellectually honest. I haven't met anyone since. People say all kinds of things, not intellectually honest. This person was intellectually honest. Very good. At least they admitted, okay? Most people never admit that. They just want to do what they want to do and justify it. Okay? Their choice. 100% their choice. You want to ask me why they don't do it? Why they don't see it? Because they don't want to see it. They're spiritually blind. They do not want to see it. They want to do what they want to do. Finish. Can we get real reward staying in the right path, growing spiritually? Yeah. That's what it is, right? Can we say real reward, right? Staying in the right path, right? What's the highest level? We said in Pirke Avos before. What's the highest level? The highest level of keeping Torah mitzvahs is that I don't get reward. That's the highest level, right? That is the highest level. That I don't get reward, right? So it's most moral way to live, best way to live, even if we don't get any reward. So staying on that right path is the best. Yeah, that's the best we can do. That's what we should do. We'll have obstacles and trials and all that, true, but that, yeah, that, if a person's on that path, whatever's going on around them, I just read something today, earlier by Victor Miller, we look at things totally the wrong way. This is hard, that's hard, and it may be hard. It may very well be hard. Whatever the test is. Doesn't Victor Miller, who cares? You got a head above, you got a head above you. You have food. You're not starving. You have health. You have other things. Why do we focus on the bad? Why do we focus on the negative? What's the answer? Because we're in pain. Because we suffer. We feel the suffering. Very good. Very good. What's the problem? Why are we looking at it that way? If we understood the way we're supposed to live, okay, a little bit of bump in the road, you got to figure things out, you got to, put your best foot forward. Very good. But everything in the world is good. Everything is good. We just don't have the right perspective. We don't dig out of the negativity, so to speak. We live in that negativity. So we don't even see the good because we're getting squeezed all over the place. Right? That's what I would say. Why does the Torah end Deuteronomy when Moshe, the servant of God, dies, but not in the book of Joshua? Why should it? Why should it lead there? The book tells the story of the Jewish people from their beginning, right? You have Noah, you got the Abraham, you got the Jewish people. It ends, right, with the greatest prophet of all time dying. Yeah. Why? The book of Joshua is like a whole nother thing. That's the continuation of the Jewish people going into the land. Moses didn't have that opportunity. Moses lost that opportunity for whatever reason, right? Also very hard to understand. But he lost that opportunity. So therefore, it's like a different stage now. Jewish people are going to go in, very good, but Moses is no longer in the picture. So therefore, it's like a different stage. Jewish people are going to go into the land, but not through their leader. So who are they going to go in the land with? They're going to go with Joshua. So therefore, Moses dying is one significant end. Joshua taking the Jews in is another thing. That possible explanation. Someone asks, something that we can do right now that Hashem will bless with good things such as peace, prosperity. So we're living in the times of Ikvisat the Mashiach, the birth pains of the Messiah, coming of the Messiah. Yeah. So the Gemara says, how can we be saved from such a thing? How can we be saved and not suffer? Two things. Torah and Gimus Chasadim. Right? Gimus Chasadim meaning doing acts of loving kindness. So I asked Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Fisher, dying Fisher of blessed memory, and I asked him this question. He's one of the Torah giants of the last generation, going to everybody, and I asked him this question. So he quoted me the Gemara, that the Gemara says, you learn Torah, learn as much Torah as you can, do as much chesed as you can, do as much acts of loving kindness. Very good. And I said, and I was like, is there anything else? He started screaming at me. I love scream though. He's like, what? You think I know more than the Gemara? You think I know more than the rabbis? You think I know more than this? Started going on and on. It's okay. He said, that's it. That's it. Focus on learning Torah as much as you can and focus on helping others. That's it. Right? You stay on that path. Prosperity is not a guaranteed thing by any stretch. The Gemara in Bracha says that a person, most people do not inherit both worlds. In other words, you might have a portion of the world to come, but it doesn't mean you're going to be rich. Right? Usually, money and Torah don't necessarily mix. You do see philanthropists out there have a lot of money, okay? They're not big rabbinic scholars. Usually not by any stretch. Doesn't mean they don't learn, they don't have fixed times to learn. But, rabbinic scholars today, a lot of them don't have money. Because usually the two don't mix. So if you're looking for prosperity, so what should you pray for? God takes care of your needs, and you should be able to learn as much as you can. That's what we should pray for. That's it. We have to go. The bottom line is with everything going on in the world. Like some I ever brought down from the Pirke Avos, blessed memory during the 6-day war. 6-day war, they were preparing for 80,000 people to die. 80,000 people. How many Jews died? How many Israelis died in the 6-day war? About 2,700. 2,700, 2,900, I forget what it was. I think 2,700 something. Yeah. You had people in the front lines. You had people learning Torah. People learning Torah saved tens of thousands of lives. Tens of thousands of lives. So we want that for ourselves. We want that power of Torah to help us also. Torah goes a long way. A little bit of light, they said by Hanukkah, pushes away a lot of darkness. That's very true. Acts of loving kindness, helping others, huge. Tzedakah matzil memavis. Charity saves from death. If a person deserves to die, charity can protect them. Chesed, acts of loving kindness, can protect. A person wants peace and this and that, go out and help others. Go out and help the Jewish people in whatever way. Rav Eli Lopiano, blessed memory, says, you want to be guaranteed long life? Go help the masses. Go help the Jewish masses. He said, because even if you deserve to die, you're helping other people. You're indispensable. So therefore, even if you deserve to die, whatever you might have done, God's going to protect you in many ways. Why is he going to protect you? Because you're helping others. You're constantly helping others. So God needs you around until he doesn't need you anymore. So even though a person may be liable for death penalty, different things, very good. I mean, not so good. But that can protect you. That can keep you around a lot longer than you deserve for whatever you might have done. The person didn't repent, but bottom line is that'll protect them. So he said, you want to guarantee long life? Have a long life in this world? Go out and help the masses. Go and help the Jewish people. Do a lot of volunteer work. Do other things. Where you're like indispensable. And then God can't take you because other people need you. Or let's say, in that sense, a person may be guaranteed longer life because what? Family needs him. He's needed in some way, so God can't take him until he decides when he's going to take him. So yeah, that's all that's it. I would tell you that you got to be able to see the bigger picture. This is really the bottom line. You want to be blessed with peace, have a good equilibrium and understand, how God runs the world, so to speak. You got to see God's the one in charge. You got to say it 1,000,000 times. God is the one in charge. He is the one that guarantees. He does what he does. I'm not in control. You got to lay yourself down, and that's the mantra. Because once you say that, then you see everything in a different perspective. That's a huge thing. Most people don't see that. Most people don't want to see that. Because you're going to say, but I'm getting squeezed in this, that, but he's in charge. When you see he's in charge, you'll get life very, very different. Very, very differently. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. This is every Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern time, 9 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Michael Chaim Kaufman. Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on Facebook. Beyond Orthodox Conversion to Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Pirke Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers, Q&As, Torah portion of the week, controversial issues. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBIChaimCoffman @gmail.com.